Hey guys, so back in 2006, there was a little bit of a debacle between Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Pepsi was approached by a couple of shady individuals, and they told Pepsi, "Hey, look, I have a secret recipe for a new Coke soda drink coming out, and I'll sell it to you for a couple $1,000,000. Now, Pepsi knew this was no good, and that they shouldn't do this because it would put their brand at stake. Because it's very illegal to steal intellectual property from someone. And Pepsi went ahead and called the FBI and told them about these guys, and they told Coke about it too. And these guys ended up getting thrown in jail and fined a bunch of money. And Pepsi made a good decision doing that because they could have gotten in a lot of trouble. And that's kind of what we're talking about today with competitor threats and intellectual property theft versus predatory pricing. My name is Belin, and let's get started. Okay, so first off, what is intellectual property? It is stealing ideas from someone else when it's not your own and portraying it to be your own. Important issue. This is an important issue as digital technology advances, especially with mobile computers such as like smartphones and laptops that are mobile and you can take to like coffee shops. Because then if a CEO forgets his mobile device around, someone could easily pick it up and steal intellectual property, some new project that a company's working on or important documents, and then go around and sell it, just like those guys tried to sell Pepsi the secret recipe for Coke. I mean, that could have been on a smartphone, and they could have just picked it up and figured out the password, So as technology advances, it becomes harder and harder for companies to deal with those things, and issues like that can cause a lot of losses, expenses, and the revenues can go down. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. So who stops this intellectual property theft? The FBI has a division that is in charge of dealing with this, and they do a pretty good job. They stop people quite often. Intellectual property theft can cut into revenues, like I just said. It managed to cut into revenues with General Electric. This guy named Gene Patrice Delia, he used to work for General Electric, and he managed to steal some information from them and then go ahead and create his own company using that information, and he was reprogramming turbines or something like that General Electric normally does, and they do a really good job at it. They're renowned for it, and he was doing it for a cheaper price and kind of stealing some of the business away from General Electric. And all he did was steal their methods. So the FBI found out, and they fined him $1.4 million in restitution fines, and they went ahead and gave that back to General Electric, and they put that guy in prison for 87 months. So it's pretty serious crime, intellectual property theft. Now, the other thing we want to talk about today is predatory pricing. And this is pricing goods so low that it drives out the competition. And there was actually an example of this here in Conway. It was with Walmart, and it was relating to the pharmaceutical goods. Walmart was pricing its prescriptions so low that the local pharmacies weren't able to keep up. They couldn't meet Walmart's prices. So they went into a judge, and they told him this, and they said, "Walmart's predatory pricing. We can't keep up. They're just trying to drive us out of the business. Their costs are so low we can't keep up with. And as soon as we go bankrupt, they're gonna raise the prices." Is what they told the judge. They were just trying to get them out in the short term, and then they were going to raise the prices and mess up the economy for the consumer. This was in 1993. It was such a big thing that the LA Times has an article about it from back then, and talking about Conway, Arkansas. It's pretty cool. So the judge went ahead and agreed with the local pharmacies, and they made Walmart pay $300,000 in damages back to local pharmacies so they could stay afloat. Okay, so let's talk about some of the differences between intellectual property theft and predatory pricing. Predatory pricing is a little different because it's often not illegal. Even the Federal Trade Commission says this, that oftentimes, the prices can't really be too low. They are often just the company that has low prices is just doing something really well, and they're able to cut their expenses. But intellectual property theft, it's always going to be illegal. If you're stealing from someone, the FBI is going to find you, and you could end up in prison. So you should never do that. Totally different. There's no way it's ever going to be a good thing to try and do. Like I said, efficient companies with low expenses could appear to be predatory. However, they could just be doing a really good job and very efficient, spending their money really well, and just setting new norms. And that happens all the time, and that's probably what happened with Walmart. They're just such a big company, they're able to have lower costs than local pharmacies. And like I said, stealing all ideas, always a bad decision. And then for both of these issues, something that personal devices can be quite an issue for a company with personal devices. Either of these issues could arise. Property theft could be stolen off the devices, or like a balance sheet that shows the expenses could be found, and then like a price sheet, and allows companies to predatory price against that company's goods. Okay, let's talk about the similarities between intellectual property theft and predatory pricing. Both acts can lead to fines, like we saw with the General Electric guy and with the Pepsi people. Both the victims of the crime could lose revenues from this if it's not caught. Greedy competitors will always try and do stuff like this to try and get a leg up, and you got to look out for that as a businessman. You got to look out for people who are trying to pull a fast one on you. Smart companies will have internal controls relating to both of these issues. They won't allow their CEO to have super important files on their smartphone and such. So in conclusion, I want you to remember these things. People will do a lot to make money. Guys are greedy out there, and you want to look out for these things that competitors can do. You never want to commit intellectual property theft. That's what I want to really leave people with today. It's always bad. Think twice. Considering predatory pricing, you don't want to end up like Walmart, even though you might just be really efficient. You don't want to end up fined. And when you're out and about at Walmart, you might want to try and spot some predatory pricing. Like at Sam's Club, the gas is so much cheaper than everywhere else. Is that really predatory pricing? Probably not. It's just a fun little thing to think about when you're out and about. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, and have a good day.